Game Freak has come up with a variety of ways to show love to older generation Pokemon in newer generation games. New evolutions, new forms, new species that reference the old ones, and more. The original 151 Kanto Pokemon have been around the longest, and thus have had the most opportunities to receive this extra attention. Therefore, most have gotten something. However, to this day, there are still several left with absolutely nothing. Today, I'm gonna go through every original Pokemon line to find the ones that Game Freak has forgotten about for almost 30 years. And for those that have been, I'm gonna give my own ideas for what I think they should get, if anything. I should mention that I have done this video before, back in the fall of 2021. But since then, Pokemon released Legends Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, and Legends ZA. So this video will serve as that one's much needed update. We begin with the Kanto starter trio. Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise all received Mega Evolutions in X and Y, with Charizard actually getting 2. All three also got Gigantamax forms in Sword and Shield, although Venusaur and Blastoise didn't get theirs until the DLC. Butterfree got a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. Beedrill got a Mega Evolution in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Pidgeot also got a Mega Evolution at the same time as Beedrill. Rattata and Raticate received Dark Normal Alolan forms in Sun and Moon. And we've now officially reached the first forgotten line, Spearow and Fearow. Despite being better in the earliest games, in my opinion, they have played second fiddle to the Pidgeot line the whole time. I think it's high time we change that, because I like Fearow. To me, it's clear that Fearow needs a new permanent evolution. I personally don't like it when underpowered Pokemon that could get a permanent evolution just get a Mega Evolution, because then when Mega Evolution goes away in a future game, the Pokemon is bad again. Fearow can evolve since it's only the second stage, and it is definitely underpowered. Its base stat total is only 442. That's near Pokemon like a Gligar, Sneasel, and Piloswine, which all got later gen evolutions. Additionally, if Fearow got an evolution, then I could evolve my first ever shiny Pokemon, a shiny Fearow named Shiny. And that'd be really nice, because then I can make it look better. This is what shiny Fearow looked like in Gen 3 when I caught it, golden and beautiful. Today, it is Barth Green. Fan art of Fearow evolutions, either Mega or regular, often make it dark flying type, due to Fearow and Spearow's often antagonistic roles in the anime, and of course the name Fear-O. But none of Fearow's dex entries actually describe it as being aggressive or cruel. It might steal a little food, but like, that's very normal for birds. Instead, I have a personal preference type idea that isn't based on nothing. An electric flying evolution. Fearow's red-blue dex entry says, with its huge and magnificent wings, it can keep aloft without ever having to land for rest. This made me think of its wings spread out in the sun all day, which then made me think of solar panels. This is my Fearow evolution idea, where its wings become much like solar panels. So while it's flying all day, it charges up its own electrical power from the sun. I'd call it Severo. I needed something that could rhyme with Spearow and Fearow, and Severe worked quite nicely. I had to change the spelling though, because otherwise it would kind of look like Severero. By the way, unless otherwise credited, the new Pokemon art shown in this video, like Severo here, was all made by my lovely graphic artist, Ellie. He makes my thumbnails too. Shout out to him. The next evolution line in the dex is another forgotten one, Ekans and Arbok. Frankly, I think this is crazy. The original iconic Team Rocket Pokemon were Meowth, Weezing, and Arbok. And while, spoiler, the other two got something, Arbok hasn't. And it's the coolest of the three, in my opinion. Back in 2016, during the lead up to Sun and Moon, I made a video with some ideas for new Alola forms. And one of my ideas was to have Ekans and Arbok become water types based on sea snakes. I still think this is a very cool idea, but a permanent evolution is more important for Arbok. Its base stat total is only 448. The most venomous snake in the world is the inland taipan, a snake that is, quoting from Wikipedia, extremely fast, agile, and can strike instantly with extreme accuracy. So this is my very fast and very deadly Arbok evolution named Napiat. Taipan backwards, of course. It's Poison Dark type, since Arbok could have gotten Dark in Gen 2 due to its aggressive behavior. Napiat's face is both dark like an inland Taipan's, and the pattern on Arbok's belly made real. Arbok no longer needs markings to intimidate you. Napiat is that scary on its own. Additionally, the red and yellow stripes reference the old king snake versus coral snake saying. Red and black, venom lack. Red and yellow, kill a fellow. Next are Pikachu and Raichu, which are, obviously, very not forgotten. They got Pichu in Gold and Silver, Electric Psychic Alolan Raichu in Sun and Moon, Gigantamax Pikachu in Sword and Shield, and now 2 Mega Raichus in Legends EA's DLC. You could even argue that Cosplay Pikachu, Cap Pikachu, and Let's Go Partner Pikachu count as well. It's the series mascot. This is to be expected. But woof, leave some for the rest of them. Sandshrew and Sandslash got Ice Steel Alolan forms in Sun and Moon. And then we have 2 evolution lines in a row that have been forgotten. The Nidoran lines. This baffles me. When I think of strong, popular, iconic Gen 1 Pokemon outside the starters and legends, I think of Gyarados, Arcanine, and Nidoking. And yet somehow, Nidoking and Nidoqueen have been totally forgotten. They obviously cannot permanently evolve, and while they could get Megas, I'd like to see regional variants over Megas, specifically so that we can make them Steel type. Their Dex entries discuss their tough skin a lot. Its steel-like hide adds to its powerful tackle. Its horns are so hard they can pierce a diamond. It is recognized by its rock-hard hide and its extended horn. Be careful with the horn as it contains venom. Its hard scales provide strong protection. It uses its hefty bulk to execute powerful moves. Nidoqueen is better at defense than offense. With scales like armor, this Pokemon will shield its children from any kind of attack. I would love to see regional variants of these two that have their hides hardened to be actual metal. I think they could be pure steel, steel ground, or steel poison, or maybe even one steel ground and the other steel poison. I'm pretty flexible, but I just really would love to see these guys as steel types. Not only is it very cool, it's pretty logical. Clefairy and Clefable got Cleffa in Gold and Silver, a type change to Fairy in X and Y, and Mega Clefable in Legends ZA. Vulpix and Ninetales got Alolan forms in Sun and Moon, Ice and Ice Fairy respectively. Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff got Igglybuff in Gold and Silver, a type change to normal Fairy in X and Y, and the Paradox Pokemon Screamtail in Scarlet and Violet. Screamtail isn't connected evolutionarily, but it still counts. If you like Jigglypuff, you're also gonna like the bigger, meaner Jigglypuff.
Ha! It is I, Grunty Boy, and I am devastated.
Why? What happened?
I bought some new posters to spruce up my room in the hideout, but when I was hanging one up, I sneezed and tore it right in half. And then I did it again! These hands! They are only destruction!
Oh, don't be so dramatic, and next time get posters from Displate, the sponsor of today's video. Displate offers unique metal posters, a much more durable alternative to typical paper posters, so they'll actually survive a move. They mount to the wall super easily as well. No tools, just a sticker leaf and magnet, so you won't upset any landlords. This also means you can swap them around no problem.
Ooh, that's fantastic! I can't actually drill into the walls of the hideout. Last person to do so, collapsed the kitchen.
Displate has over 2 million artworks available, many by independent artists, and they have tons of officially licensed designs from major franchises like Star Wars, Marvel, Demon Slayer, K-pop Demon Hunters, and more. I myself got this set from their Avatar: The Last Airbender collection, my favorite show of all time, and it was really easy to hang all of them.
Wow, those look great! Wait, Agna Kayla?
Yeah, apparently that's the name of the Northern Water Tribe, which was news to me, but it is real. Collect your passion with Displate. Use the link in the description below or use code M&J to get an exclusive discount of up to 38% on your new Displates, which should arrive fast in just 4 to 5 business days.
Amazing! I'm ordering some right away. Soon the hideout will look so much better and I won't have so much blood on my hands. My own blood from the paper cuts. Ta-ta!
Zubat and Golbat got Crobat in Gold and Silver. Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume got Bellossom at the same time. And now we've reached another forgotten line. Paris and Parasect. No, them being incredibly violent in Legends Arceus does not count. I gotta say, I get why these two haven't gotten anything. They're not popular at all. And beyond that, Parasect is catastrophically awful. Its base stat total is only 405. It has 6 weaknesses, with 2 of them 4 times. And in fact, it was the only Pokemon to ever have 3 4x weaknesses, since Bug was weak to poison in Gen 1. Oh, and also the mushroom is almost totally taken over, so it's doing bad in every sense. But unfortunately for the Bug, the coolest way to make Parasect better is to give it a new permanent evolution where the Bug dies. Like, totally dies. It's like almost dead. I'm pretty like full dead. A while back, Reddit user Eli D. Webster posted this Parasect evolution idea to my subreddit, and I thought the idea to turn it into a grass ghost type, since the Bug fully dies, was brilliant. Not only is their design creative, but it's much better typing. 5 weaknesses instead of 6, none of them 4 times, and now it has 2 immunities. This is my own idea for a grass ghost Parasect evolution, which I'll call Parasol, which is parasite and soul, obviously, but also parasol, an umbrella, but more importantly, a type of mushroom. Although this design is specifically inspired by shaggy ink cap mushrooms because I thought they looked spooky. Much like Eli D. Webster's Paraseptic, the mushroom has enveloped the dead Bug body, but the Bug's spirit still inhabits the host, angry and vengeful. That's why the claws kind of look like Grim Reaper scythes. Scythes? 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 Regardless of the design though, Parasect needs a permanent evolution that changes its awful typing, or it will never be anywhere close to usable in any circumstances. The next forgotten Pokemon are Venonat and Venomoth. I think Game Freak hates them. Bulbapedia says Venomoth and its pre-evolved form are the Pokemon that went the longest without appearing in a regional Pokedex, excluding their appearances in remakes. Prior to the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, their last appearance in a regional Pokedex was in Crystal, almost 22 years earlier. Yikes. Although it does make some amount of sense. If you think about it, there's several other butterfly and moth Pokemon that are pretty much across the board more popular. Like, who cares about Venomoth when you've got Volcarona? Should Venomoth get something, it could use an evolution. Its base stat total is only 450, which is stronger than Butterfree and Beedrill, but they're 3rd stage, so they're stuck. However, I couldn't think of a Venomoth evolution design idea that wasn't just more Venomoth. And if it's just more Venomoth, that'd be like a Mega Venomoth, and I don't want a Mega Venomoth. However, then I noticed Venomoth's Ruby Sapphire Dex entry. Venomoth is nocturnal. It is a Pokemon that only becomes active at night. Its favorite prey are small insects that gather around streetlights, attracted by the light in the darkness. Moths are well known for being attracted to light, but what if there was a moth that is the light? This is my Bug Electric regional variant of Venomoth. The wings are based on the Madagascan moon moth, while its antennae are streetlights, its eyes flashlights, and its abdomen a bug zapper. This Venomoth uses these to attract and zap prey. I think this Venomoth could then evolve into something that wouldn't just be more Venomoth. But I don't have art of that evolution. I'd like to see yours though. If you decide to come up with your own regional Venomoth evolution, put it on my subreddit, r/MandJTV. Might get into the next meme review episode on MandJTV Extra. Diglett and Dugtrio both received ground steel Alolan forms in Sun and Moon. But Scarlet and Violet also introduced the new convergent evolution species, Wiglet and Wugtrio, which are basically just water-type Diglett and Dugtrio, except they're eels now. Meowth, wow, they love Meowth. Meowth received a dark-type Alolan form in Sun and Moon, and then Sword and Shield gave it both a Steel-type Galarian form and a Gigantamax form. Persian got the dark-type Alolan form, but not the Steel-type Galarian form. Instead, those Meowth become Berserker. That means this line has gotten 5 different new forms or species added, which is tied with the Pikachu line. Assuming you don't count cosplay Cap or partner Pikachu, which like I don't feel like you really should. They're basically the same Pikachu, they just act a little different. I will say this makes quite a bit of sense though, since Meowth is one of the most famous of the original Pokemon. Ash had Pikachu, Team Rocket had Meowth. But then we reach this next line, one that is almost as famous as Pikachu and Meowth, and yet somehow, shockingly, has gotten nothing. The next forgotten Pokemon are Psyduck and Golduck. How? How is this possible? Well, actually, Golduck I get. No one really cares about Golduck, but Psyduck? We love Psyduck! It is one of the most popular Gen 1 Pokemon. Retro Pokemon merch had Pikachu, the starters, Meowth, Jigglypuff, and Psyduck. And also Poliwhirl sometimes, randomly. But Psyduck was, and still is, everywhere. Meowth has 35 results on PokemonCenter.com. Psyduck has 62. This line needs something. A regional variant could work, but to be honest, I think a Mega Evolution is more straightforward. Golduck's BST is 500, so while it could use a permanent Evo, a Mega also makes sense. And clearly, the Mega should make it the water psychic type that it was always meant to be. It appears by waterways at dusk. It may use telekinetic powers if its forehead glows mysteriously. My idea for a water psychic Mega Golduck does something that many other Mega Evolutions do, which is take one body part and make it really big. Since Golduck's forehead glows when it uses psychic powers, if its powers enhance to the point of actually turning it water psychic type, then that little red thing could grow huge and send psychic energy coursing through its body. And if you want fun energy coursing through your body, that's a weird way to say that. Essentially, I'm trying to say if you've watched this far into the video, you probably enjoy the videos that I make. So a great way to tell YouTube that you want to see more of them is to subscribe, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. Also, getting very close to 2.5 million subscribers. Very excited to pass that soon, and you could help me get there. Mankey and Primeape got Annihilate in Scarlet and Violet, which is a Pokemon I personally love. Huge fan of Annihilate. I love that it seems to be inspired by a Dex entry, hence why I'm doing that myself quite a bit in this video. Growlithe and Arcanine got Rock, Fire, Hisuian forms in Legends Arceus. Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath got Politoed in Gold and Silver. Alakazam got a Mega Evolution in X and Y. Machamp got a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. Victreebel got a Mega Evolution in Legends ZA. Tentacool and Tentacruel got Grass Ground Toedscool and Toedscruel in Scarlet and Violet. Like Wiglet and Wugtrio, these are new convergent evolution species, but they are clearly attention shown to the original jellyfish. Geodude, Graveler, and Golem got Rock Electric Alolan forms in Sun and Moon. Ponyta and Rapidash got Galarian forms in Sword and Shield. Ponyta Psychic and Rapidash Psychic Fairy. Slowpoke is another Pokemon that's gotten a lot. It and Slowbro got Slowking in Gold and Silver, then Slowbro got a Mega Evolution in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Then in Sword and Shield, all three got Galarian forms that replaced their water type with Poison. Fun fact, for several years, Slowbro was the only Pokemon to have both a Mega Evolution and a regional variant. Now it's both Slowbro and Raichu. Magnemite and Magneton gained the Steel type in Gold and Silver, then Magnezone in Diamond and Pearl. Additionally, Scarlet and Violet added Sandy Shocks, an electric ground type Paradox Pokemon, referencing Magneton specifically. Farfetch'd got a pure fighting type Galarian form in Sword and Shield, and that form can evolve into Sirfetch'd. The next forgotten Pokemon are Doduo and Dodrio. I understand this to a degree. You can't really give Dodrio an evolution, Mega or regular, without just adding a fourth head. And like, personally, I think that's kinda boring, and I think Game Freak agrees, hence why they haven't done anything. But this does leave the door open for a fun regional variant. According to Bulbapedia, despite its name, Dodrio seems like it has more in common with ostriches than dodos. It also seems to show some similarities to the moa, an extinct flightless bird, and the emu, another flightless bird. It also resembles the kiwi in some ways as well. Its crests also indicate it was based on cassowaries. There, right there, that last one. Cassowaries are fascinating flightless birds closely related to ostriches and emus. All of them are ratites, and they have a reputation for being very dangerous. I'd like to see a Dodrio regional variant that goes full cassowary. And apparently, so did someone else. Reddit user Canis Aries made this design almost a decade ago, and my artist Ellie found this after I wrote and sketched out my idea. Theirs is very cool. I came up with it first, but I'm still showing you mine because it's different enough and we've already worked on it. And also, it's pretty different. Theirs is fighting flying, whereas mine isn't either of those. Cassowaries have a reputation for being really aggressive, and thus my cassowary Dodrio would be dark type. Additionally, cassowaries have hard crests on their heads, known as casques, and their feet have spear-like claws. If you make both of those metal, then this is a really cool dark steel Dodrio. Seal and Dugong are the next forgotten Pokemon. Yeah, I don't think anyone's really surprised by this. They might be the most forgotten Gen 1 Pokemon just in general. They're just like really bland amongst a large roster of much more interesting water types. Dugong's base stat total is 475, so not high, but not horrible, but still low enough to justify a permanent evolution. When coming up with an idea for one, I thought about their names, Seal and Dugong, which are misspellings of real marine mammals that they're based on. However, I noticed something odd about the Pokemon compared to their real-life counterparts. The Pokemon aren't fat! Many seals and dugongs are quite pudgy fellows to insulate them in cold waters, while seal and dugong are sleek and comparatively thin despite having thick fat as an ability. I want to see dugong evolve into something that's properly fat, so I designed one. This is Manatee. Of course, a misspelling of manatee, a lovely, portly fellow that can shrug off attacks with its blubber. I am so tickled by this design that I'd love to see it in any form. And I do think it could work as Mega Dugong too, although a permanent evolution would certainly be better for Dugong long term. Grimer and Muck got Poison Dark Alolan forms in Sun and Moon. But then we have another forgotten pair, Shelder and Cloyster. This is so weird. Like, Cloyster's counterpart, Onyx, it's gotten stuff, so why hasn't Cloyster? Cloyster has a base stat total of 525, the highest of all the forgotten Gen 1 Pokemon, excluding Legends. So while it is 2 stages and could evolve, I think a regional variant or mega evolution suited better. I didn't come up with any variant ideas that I liked, so here's my idea for Mega Cloyster. It's a pretty simple premise. To shore up its defenses even more, hopefully that pitiful special defense especially, its shell totally encloses it, much like how it did with Shelder. It can open though, and you can see the seam is jagged, so when it clamps down on enemies, it does a lot more damage than before. Gengar got a Mega Evolution in X and Y, then a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield, the only Pokemon outside the Kanto starter trio to get both. Onyx got Steelix in Gold and Silver, then Steelix later got a Mega Evolution in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Drowsy and Hypno are the next forgotten Pokemon. And this isn't really surprising to me. They're kind of creepy, and like, I've personally not been a fan of Drowsy the last few years, because that stupid meme about me and it persisting for far longer than any meme should. Additionally, at first, I wasn't really sure how to change Hypno. Its base stat total is 483, low enough for a permanent evolution, but how could it be handled? A lot of people have suggested Psychic Dark because of how creepy Hypno is, since there was once an incident in which it took away a child it hypnotized. And I don't want to be a Hypno defender here. But like, that seems to have been an isolated incident, I think. I don't want to like stand up for Hypno. It's just like, there's that other Alola Dex entry that says it rarely harms people, and rarely isn't never, but just like, Psychic Dark just feels a bit uninspired. So I didn't like Psychic Dark and couldn't figure out how to advance the hypnotism piece. But then I realized that Hypno isn't mind controlling people like Malamar. It's just putting them to sleep so it can eat their dreams. So then I started thinking about like other ways that people are made to feel drowsy and fall asleep. I thought of melatonin and Benadryl, couldn't go anywhere with that. But then I remembered that movie, Rise of the Guardians, which featured the Sandman. The Sandman is a mythical character originating in Germanic and Scandinavian folklore. He visits children in the evening, sprinkles sleep-inducing sand into their eyes, and brings dreams. In the morning, the sleep sand is rubbed from the corner of the eyes. I love this idea. A new member of the Hypno line could be inspired by the Sandman and be a ground type. And once again, I am not the first person to come up with this. Dark Sylvania designed these really cool Drowsy and Hypno regional variants that are Fairy and Fairy ground type, where the Hypno is clearly based on the Sandman. I went a bit of a different route. This is Sandream. I am open to better name suggestions. I think this name is pretty mid. A psychic ground type Hypno evolution. It wields sleep sand that grows from its wrists, ankles, and mane, and of course it uses the sand to put enemies to sleep and eat their dreams. Unfortunately, the sand also makes Sandream itself sleepy, so it's a bit cranky. I gave it back Drowsy's more tapir-like nose. Never liked Hypno's weird one. And the brown markings are both reminiscent of Drowsy and make it just look more like a ground type. Also, its belly pattern is supposed to look a little like a pillow. I'm quite pleased with myself for this one. I went from not wanting to do anything for Hypno at all, but now, like, if Sandream was real, I might use that thing. I think it's pretty cool. Kingler got a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. Voltorb and Electrode are next. And funny story, here's what I said about them in my original video.
I don't think it deserves to have any new forms, both because its design concept is silly to begin with, but also because there's not anywhere for its design to really go.
And then, about 3 months later, so I was wrong. Never thought about wooden versions based on older Pokeballs. And frankly, this shows that the devs are smarter than me because that's genius. Anyways, as you can see, Voltorb and Electrode got Electric Grass Hisuian forms in Legends Arceus. Exeggutor got its iconic, comically tall, and somehow dragon-type Alolan form in Sun and Moon. Marowak also got an Alolan form in Sun and Moon, a fire ghost type. Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, initially unrelated evolutionarily, got the mutual baby Tyrogue in Gold and Silver, alongside another member of the now branching line, Hitmontop. Lickitung got Licky Licky in Diamond and Pearl. Weezing got a poison fairy type Galarian form in Sword and Shield. Rhyhorn and Rhydon got Rhyperior in Diamond and Pearl. Chansey got Blissey in Gold and Silver, then Happiny in Diamond and Pearl. Tangela got Tangrowth in Diamond and Pearl. Kangaskhan got a Mega Evolution in X and Y. Horsea and Seadra got Kingdra in Gold and Silver. And now finally some more forgotten Pokemon, Goldeen and Seaking. Much like Seel and Dugong, these are simply too bland amongst a sea of far more interesting water types. Also, Seaking is really bad. It has a base stat total of only 450, and every stat is bad except an okay attack. It does get Lightning Rod, which is a great ability for water types since it makes them immune. However, when it's hit by an electric move, it boosts the Pokemon's special attack, and Seaking's is god-awful. Game Freak might hate Seaking more than Parasect. The only way to redeem Seaking is to permanently evolve it. It's just too weak for a variant or mega. This is my idea for one. Koizer, combining Koi and Kaiser. Goldeen and Seaking are part goldfish, part koi, so I leaned fully into the koi side, turning it streamlined and giving it a pattern inspired by the Showa koi. Now you could criticize this design with the same critique that Goldeen and Seaking often get, which is, that's just a fish with a horn. And if you say that, you would be right. However, that means that the evolution is faithful. And we should always make our evolutions faithful, just like our remakes. Right? Starmie got a Mega Evolution in Legends ZA. Mr. Mime has, weirdly, gotten a lot. It got Mime Jr. in Diamond and Pearl, then the Fairy type in X and Y. I thought it was done after that, but then Sword and Shield gave it an Ice Psychic regional form that could evolve into the new Pokemon, Mr. Rhyme. Quite a lot for a Pokemon that I didn't think was popular. Or maybe it is popular? I don't know. I used to passionately hate this thing before I mellowed with age, so maybe I'm just out of touch. Scyther got Scizor in Gold and Silver, which then got a Mega Evolution in X and Y. Then several years later, to the surprise of many, Scyther got another new evolution, Kleavor in Legends Arceus. Jinx got Smoochum in Gold and Silver. But that's it. Only Pokemon in Gen 1 to get a baby and then nothing else. Electabuzz got Elekid in Gold and Silver, then Electivire in Diamond and Pearl. Its counterpart Magmar got the same things at the same times. Magby in Gold and Silver, then Magmortar in Diamond and Pearl. Pinsir got a Mega Evolution in X and Y. Tauros got a Paldean form in Scarlet and Violet. Well, actually, it kinda got 3. Paldean Tauros has 3 forms: Pure Fighting Combat Breed, Fire Fighting Blaze Breed, and Water Fighting Aqua Breed. 3 forms of a form. The only differences between them are their types, the type their Raging Bull attack becomes, and their weight, oddly enough. But those are significant differences, especially the typing. Earlier I was gonna say that Meowth is the only Pokemon to get more than 1 regional variant, but then I remembered Tauros, and I was like, oh wait, it kinda basically has 3. Gyarados got a Water Dark Mega Evolution in X and Y. Rest in peace, Dragon-type Gyarados. Lapras got a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. The next forgotten Pokemon is Ditto. But not only does this make sense, it's the only forgotten one that I feel strongly should remain that way. Ditto's whole thing is turning into other Pokemon, or occasionally little Animal Crossing protagonists. So what would an evolution, regional variant, or God forbid a Mega Evolution even do for Ditto? Like, if they're still Ditto, they're still gonna transform. So what's the point of a new design if they just transform into something else? The only thing that makes sense to me is a Paradox Pokemon inspired by Ditto that cannot transform. Hertzburst on Reddit made a cool past Paradox design based on a beta Ditto evolution. Ellie also whipped up this fun future Paradox idea where it looks like a D20. Instead of transforming, it just rolls deception checks. However, we definitely aren't getting new Paradox Pokemon anytime soon, and while you could maybe make one of these designs work for like a convergent evolution Pokemon are evolving to fill the same niche. And if the niche is transforming, then it should just still be Ditto. Eevee and the original 3 Evolutions have of course gotten a lot. Umbreon and Espeon in Gen 2, Leafeon and Glaceon in Gen 4, and Sylveon in Gen 6. On top of that, Eevee got a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. And if you count it, Partner Eevee exists in Let's Go Eevee. Porygon has gotten a new evolution twice. Porygon 2 in Gold and Silver, then Porygon Z in Diamond and Pearl. Next are the Kanto fossils, and only one has not been forgotten, Aerodactyl. It got a Mega Evolution in X and Y. However, Ammonite, Amistar, Kabuto, and Kabutops have gotten absolutely nothing. I think that's a bit sad. Why did Aerodactyl get something while the others were left behind? Sure, Aerodactyl was more popular before 2014 when Twitch Plays Pokemon happened. Praise Helix! While Amistar and Kabutops are less powerful than Aerodactyl, it's not by much, and Mega Evolutions make the most sense. Regional variants just don't work. How could long-dead Pokemon recently revived Darwinian evolve just in the 30 years since the 90s? Even accounting for the fact that they're prevalent now thanks to fossil reviving. Maybe they could get permanent evolutions, but no fossil Pokemon ever have, so Megas make the most sense. This is my Mega Amistar design. It's pretty simple. I gave it longer tentacles to look more like the Ammonites it's based on. You kinda lose the star shape, but I can live with that. As for Mega Kabutops, I gave it more arms for more violence, made its head look a bit more like Kabuto's, and gave it a tail and mandibles inspired by Megalograptus, a type of Europterid, what Kabutops is based on. Snorlax got Munchlax in Diamond and Pearl, plus a Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield. Then we have the legendary birds, which got Galarian forms in Sword and Shield's DLC. Psychic Flying Articuno, Fighting Flying Zapdos, and Dark Flying Moltres. Dragonite finally got a Mega Evolution in Legends ZA. Mewtwo got 2 Mega Evolutions in X and Y. And then finally, the last forgotten Pokemon is Mew. Only a Mega makes sense. The ancestor of all Pokemon isn't gonna have a regional variant, and Legends don't get later gen evolutions. New forms, sure, like primal forms, but a Mega works well for Mew since Mewtwo has Megas. My idea for Mega Mew is simple. Make it look like Mewtwo, but less Frankenstein science gone wrong. It keeps its smoother features, but it's larger and more powerful. And those are all the forgotten Gen 1 Pokemon. Maybe someday they'll all be remembered, but there are certain ones that are higher priority. Like again, Psyduck. How do we have nothing for Psyduck? Thanks so much for watching, and let me know which of my new forgotten Pokemon designs you liked the most. And if you want to see another one of my videos where I go over every Pokemon in a region, check out my video on why getting all the Johto Pokemon in the Gen 3 games was almost impossible.